At this point we can add a new album, we can get an individual album by ID, and we can also get a full list of all the albums that are in the system. It would be super nice if we could update an existing album, so let's get right onto that now. In order to update an existing album, we're going to use the put verb. Now, a put request expects us to provide a full representation of our album, with any field changes replacing existing data of the same field. We must send in every field even if we aren't updating or changing that field's data. As you no doubt expect by now, FOSRESTBundle has a convention we can follow which will do most of the hard work for us. We'll need to implement the put action. There's nothing new to inject here. We have the album repository from our get and cget actions, and we have the entity manager interface from our post action. But we will need both. So we can check the router now, and we can see that we have a new route that's locked down to put requests. Now note that on our put action, we didn't specify an argument of ID. So if we send in our test now, we're going to get back a 405 error code, which seems confusing because that would mean the method's not implemented, and we have just implemented a put action. But again, if you look at the put album route, you'll notice that we don't have the ID on the end, and therefore we don't actually have a matching route for a specific put against a given ID. Fixing this is actually really straightforward. We just need to declare our put actions method arguments. In our case, we're going to want the request object and also that ID. In many ways, the put implementation is a mix of the get action and the post action. First, we need to look up the existing album in our database. Then we'll use this album as the starting point for our form submission. We can do this by calling create form and passing in the album type as our form type and the existing album as the second argument. This is different to the post process where we started with a new album entity. At that point we had no existing data. Now a few videos back when we looked at post requests, we saw how FOSRESTBundle's body listener was able to take the raw incoming request body, decode it, and then make the resulting array available on the request object. This gives us the convenience of being able to pass in that resulting array directly into the form submit method. Now should validation fail, we'll want to return the form errors, and we can do this as we've already seen with the post request by simply wrapping the form object in a view. In this way the view handler will manage the process of serializing our form errors to JSON. Now should the album be in a valid state at this point, then all we need to do is flush off the latest changes to the database. The entity is already managed, so we don't need to call a persist operation with this entity. Finally, we'll want to return a 204 status code, which means the resource was successfully updated, but we have no content to send back to our API consumer. You may be wondering why we have no content. Well, our API consumer already knew the exact resource that they were updating. They sent in the new data. What else can we tell them? Pretty much nothing. This should be it for our implementation, so let's check the bhat tests. Having previously tagged just the put test, we can see that we've now got a pass.